Okay, let's talk about GM. GM set to lay off more than 4,000 salaried staff today. These are the first cuts in GM's larger plan to slash up to 14,000 jobs this year as it looks to reduce operating costs by up to $6 billion by the end of 2020. Also in other auto news, Tesla reportedly buying Maxwell Technologies. That is a San Diego-based manufacturer that focuses on energy storage and power delivery solution-related products. Let's get into all this auto news with Yahoo Finance's car guy, Rick Newman. Hey, Rick.
Hey.
Layoffs.
Car guy.
Yeah, that's right. One guy, two cars. Right. GM, let's start with GM. This is a ton of layoffs. I mean, we knew this was coming, but...
Yeah, they announced this last year, and Trump criticized them for it, and pointed out, we did give you this bailout money several years ago. GM knows this. They've been criticized for this before. But I think GM really doesn't have much of a choice here. I mean, they're closing some factories that make models that just are not selling well. Compact cars, for example. That's the one in Lordstown, Ohio, that has gotten a lot of attention. And GM is basically saying, look, we just need to keep our company lean, and we need to evolve to stay on top of the latest technology. So part of this is getting out of some of these slow-selling models that nobody's really buying and putting more resources into electrification and self-driving cars and stuff like that. So,
but by the way, I think it's notable that they're white-collar jobs. So
they're white-collar, they're white and blue-collar, both.
Often we're like, okay, wow, it is the warehouse, it's the factory, it's all these people who are doing manual labor, but these are people who have office jobs. So for me, that actually is an indication that, okay, that's just streamlining middle management. This is kind of necessary.
It's global, too.
Right.
It's all around the world, including Canada, where there's a lot of heartburn about some layoffs there as well. I should add, I think, so Tesla just has announced some layoffs, and some auto analysts think we're going to see more auto layoffs this year, just because sales are slowing, and there's this big transformation going on. And, the automakers just cannot keep building cars that people don't really want, because when you're building models that just are not selling well, all you can do is put incentives on those cars and basically keep dropping the price and sell them at a loss. That is one of the problems that got GM into bankruptcy in the first place. They had a lot of other problems, but that was one of them. Is they just couldn't sort of move fast enough to shut down the stuff that's not selling and build more of the stuff that is selling.
I mean, and Rick, to that point, you were saying that small cars really have very little interest in the United States right now. But at the same time, we're seeing trucks and SUVs, and we're seeing electric cars, and these are kind of at the polar opposites of the spectrum of fuel per se.
Yep.
So when you had these small cars in between, why do we have no interest in small cars? Why is it sort of electric or truck?
That's not exactly what's happening. So what's happening, the real trend is that crossovers and SUVs are replacing passenger cars, which is coupes and sedans.
Yeah, no one wants
small cars. But there are small crossovers. They are basically, there's a Honda, for example, that's basically the Honda Civic 4 inches higher.
Right. So they're still bigger than a sedan, though. I mean, it's true. No one seems to want a small car.
Some are and some aren't. So one of the sort of misperceptions here is this idea that all these SUVs are giant gas guzzlers. A lot of them are, and we've seen the return of things like the Lincoln Navigator, which is a gigantic.
Yeah.
You can fit the whole soccer team in there.
Yeah.
But the real change has been the arrival of these small crossovers like the Nissan Rogue, the Honda HR-V. So these are small. They're tight for 5 people, but they're more like an SUV. They just sit higher and they have that higher ride height.
Still not big enough for me.
The mechanics of it are essentially a sedan. It's just higher with a little bit of changes to the suspension.
Not high enough.
So now that we've got, well, if you want it higher, you can go as high as...
I got spoiled by having a Jeep. Well, I do think that a lot depends on your first car. My first ever car was a Jeep.
Yeah.
I'll always want to be high up now.
You're a loyalist.
Well, see, that's the thing. People try a crossover and they're like, oh, this is cool.
Right.
I like it. That's why
we know GM is reporting results on Wednesday before the bell, so it'll be
By the way, GM is a powerhouse in the auto industry.
Totally.
I should point that out. They are totally going to give Tesla a run for their money on electrics.
Yep.
They have got the scale to do whatever the market turns out to demand. And part of the reason is they're much more nimble than they used to be, and they now have the ability to close underperforming plants if they have to. It sucks for the workers.
Right.
But on the other hand, look, this is the labor market you want to. If you're going to get laid off, you want to get laid off now. With companies hiring the way they are. We saw 300,000 new jobs last month. Just news from last Friday.
It's a good take. All right, Rick Newman, thanks so much.
Guys.